The Cavs have some tough decisions to make regarding their rotation, but perhaps more so who that fifth starter is going to be. The backcourt is solidified with DG and Spida, ditto for 2/3 of the front court in Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. But that tricky small forward position has proven a tough spot to fill consistently since the departure of LeBron. That, my friends, is what I'm here to discuss today. Now, the one thing we know at this point in time is that the Cavs have no shortage of players to choose from on their current roster. We also know that every one of those options has some sort of flaw or characteristic that has kept them from locking it down full time. So with this being the case, here's why that spot might be best suited as a revolving door. First off, let's discuss a couple of players that will likely only be spot starters due to injury. Our first option comes in the form of Cedi Osman, an inconsistent yet highly flammable swingman who has garnered the reputation for being one of the most hot and cold shooters in the league. It's this trait that has endeared him to the masses in Cleveland at times and has also caused him to draw the ire of them as well at others. The truth is, at times we get way too high on the shooting Osman provides, sometimes which is usually comes in the shape of a phenomenon that you have come to know as the Cavalanche. Osman is typically a big part of these occurrences, and to be fair, he's usually the one leading the charge. That's the Jekyll side of Cedi showing. The Hyde portion of his play comes in the shape of an ice-cold shooting streak and inattentiveness on the defensive side of the ball. For every 5 of 6 from deep night he has, like the 22-point explosion he had against the Utah Jazz, there often lies a 1 of 8 from range clunker waiting in the distance. It's just who he is and why he may never be a consistent starter in the league. Next is a player who isn't likely to be a starter moving forward, but not so much for being inconsistent as for the Cavs needing additional scoring off the bench unit, and that is Caris LeVert. Look, LeVert and inconsistency are no strangers to one another, but we have seen the Cavs have success with LeVert in the starting lineup, and him being a defining part of those victories. His 41-point detonation against the Boston Celtics comes to mind here, and to paint you a picture, LeVert has averaged 14.1 points, 5.1 rebounds, 4.6 assists, 39.2% from the field, 40.3% from distance in 16 games as a starter this season with a 9-7 mark versus 9.1 points, 3.7 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 40% from the field, 25.5% from three-point range with a 10-4 record coming off the bench. The beauty in his game is that he is capable of doing both, but the Cavs' 26th ranked bench scoring unit needs him and his production far more than the team needs him to start. Now let's dig into the real options here, and that starts with former undrafted free agent Lamar Stevens, the player who has often been labeled the heart and soul of the team and a guy that exemplifies the junkyard dog mentality. Stevens brings the energy, no doubt. He has a solid mid-range game, rebounds the ball pretty well, and has consistently been deployed as a stopper against some of the bigger wings in the league. The only thing truly holding back Stevens is the lack of a consistent perimeter shot. Want to hear an interesting stat? Lamar is averaging 38.6% on three-pointers as a starter versus 19.8% as a reserve. He doesn't space the floor consistently enough to warrant the type of confidence that you need to bestow the title of a starter on for an entire season. When the time calls for a physical presence capable of matching up with a supersized wing, Stevens may very well be your guy. Next is Dean Wade. The K-State product has started approximately 56 games in his 4 seasons in Cleveland and has been pretty productive in offensive terms, averaging 8.4 points, 4.8 rebounds, 46.2% from the field, and 39% from three-point range. But that last part being perhaps the most important stat. He spaces the floor in ways that Lamar Stevens and Isaac Okoro haven't shown capable of yet. And quite honestly, Wade seems to be the most well-balanced of the options as he is a better defender than given credit for, knocks down shots on the outside, and rebounds the ball at a pretty decent clip. Last but certainly not least is Isaac Okoro. The youngster, affectionately nicknamed Ice, has been through the ringer from a confidence standpoint throughout his entire career. He has had to endure being labeled a bust by some fans. He had been placed in somewhat of a box by his own head coach. When Okoro was selected with the 5th overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft, the thought was that his defensive presence on the wing would help supplement a team featuring weaker defenders in the backcourt in both Darius Garland and Colin Sexton. Now obviously, a lot has happened since he was drafted. Garland developed into an all-star. The team added big man Jared Allen, who also developed into an all-star. The team also added Evan Mobley, who many think will turn into the number 1 option eventually. And the team traded for Donovan frickin' Mitchell. shipping Colin Sexton, Lowry Markkanen, Ochai Agbaji, and picks away in the process. Isaac doesn't necessarily suffer from the consistency issues in the same way that Cedi or Caris might. His lack of success to this point has everything to do with his shifting confidence levels. All of these things played a part in the team adjusting his role as they see fit, and the quick development of players like DG and Evan have only put more pressure on Okoro to show more progress. And to his credit, Okoro has finally started to string together multiple impactful performances lately as the starter. He is averaging 11.3 points, 3.5 rebounds, 2.3 assists, and he's shooting 51.6% from the field. Now, is that enough to keep the job? Who knows? Him knocking down shots from distance certainly helps. During that same 4-game stretch, he's completed 31.3% of his attempts on decent volume. Is that number mind-blowing? Absolutely not, but it is encouraging enough, and he continues to improve that number by even a few percentage points. Defenses will have no choice but to pay attention to him from distance. That said, nobody has separated themselves as the clear-cut option, so why not keep it a revolving door until things change?